One moment, one God-forsaken moment is all it takes to rip your entire identity into shreds. One twisted word thrown like a dagger, one betrayal that comes without warning, one tiny shift in the air, and suddenly you're not breathing, you're suffocating in silence. The walls around you vanish, and all that's left is the earthquake in your chest and the wildfire in your veins. Rage doesn't knock, it kicks the door open. Hurt doesn't whisper, it screams with 1,000 voices inside your skull. And in that instant, you're not the calm, composed version of yourself you promised to be. You're a storm wearing human skin, your fury disguised as flesh, and somewhere deep inside, after it all settles, you ache. Not because you felt too much, but because you let it take the wheel. You let the chaos steer. You gave your power away like it meant nothing. How many times have you stood there, frozen, while your pride got chewed up and spit out like it didn't matter? That silence before your soul wants to erupt. It's not peace. It's a war cry muffled behind clenched teeth. Someone crossed a line, disrespected you, looked you dead in the eyes and acted like your worth was disposable. And what did you do? You swallowed it. You held it in like poison, and when the world finally turned quiet, you broke apart alone. You argued with ghosts in the shower. You rewrote the past in your head until it bled. You fantasized about revenge, about words that could shatter them the way they shattered you. But the truth is, none of that ever gave you peace. Because the wreckage wasn't in their words. It was in the control they hijacked from your soul. They didn't just hurt you, they hollowed you and made you carry the echo. This world doesn't play fair. It will stab you with a smile, twist the knife, and then call you dramatic for bleeding. You can't stop people from being venomous. You can't force life to hand you peace. But you can become something more dangerous than rage, more unshakable than pain. You can become untouchable. That's what Stoicism is. Not a philosophy, not a quote for Instagram. It's a full-blown transformation. It's the armor you weld from scars. It's the fire you tame, not extinguish. Marcus Aurelius didn't choose calm because he was soft. He lived in a world of death, betrayal, and rot, and still stood like a goddamn mountain. When the world begged him to break, he looked it in the eye and said, "You will not enter my mind. You don't get that privilege." This isn't about ignoring emotion. This is about becoming the kind of beast that can feel everything and still not flinch. This is for the ones who've been humiliated in silence. The ones who got mocked, laughed at, pushed down, and still woke up every day with vengeance in their blood and discipline in their spine. This is for those who wanted to scream, but bit their tongue so hard it tasted like iron. The ones who were burning alive inside but walked through the fire like it was their home. This is for those who didn't want control to look cool, but because they were sick of handing their power to people who didn't deserve their name in their memory. I want this video to split something open in your soul. I want it to crawl into the darkest part of you, the part no one sees, and light a fire so bright it blinds your past. This is not a lecture. This is war medicine. This is the voice you needed when you were breaking. Every sentence in this video is a knife carved from truth. Every word is soaked in gasoline. You either use it to burn the lies that held you back, or you let them burn you over and over again. But if you're still here, if your chest is heavy and your fingers are trembling, then you've already chosen. You want control, you want power, not over others, but over yourself. Don't blink, don't skip, don't scroll, because this might be the moment your future self screams for. This might be the moment the chains finally crack. Watch until the very end. Share it with the warriors in silence. And if your soul is ready to take the wheel back, drop this in the comments like a war cry. My calm is my power. Because from now on, you don't explode. You command. Now let's get into it. Number 1. Recognize that every emotion is a signal, not a command. You feel it like a wildfire tearing through your chest, that heat rising fast, boiling through your veins. 1 second you're calm, the next your heart's pounding, fists clenching, teeth grinding. Someone said something, someone crossed a line, and your instincts roar, strike, run, shatter everything, burn the bridge. That's the moment most people lose themselves. That split second when they think they're feeling, but they're actually obeying. Obeying the storm inside them like it's a king, like they were built only to react, not to rule. But here's the brutal, liberating truth. Your emotions are not chains. They're not commands barked by some inner tyrant. They're signals, flashes of lightning warning you, something And if you pause, if you refuse to flinch, you'll hear the message hidden in the madness. You're not broken for feeling. You're only broken when you let those feelings hijack your soul. Marcus Aurelius didn't conquer armies with fire in his chest. He conquered it by mastering the war inside. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. He didn't mean emotions are weak. He meant reacting blindly to them makes you weak. And that weakness, it becomes a pattern. The more you surrender to impulse, the less of you remains. Anger, it's a flare gun saying, this matters. Something feels unfair. Anxiety, it's your soul whispering, you care. Don't mess this up. Heartbreak, that's your body mourning the illusion you thought was real. These aren't enemies, they're teachers screaming in smoke and fire, begging you to listen, not obey. But society wires you to flip out, break down, fall apart. You're taught that if you don't react fast, you'll look weak, that if you don't explode, you'll implode. But that's the lie. That's emotional slavery dressed up as self-expression. Real strength? It's standing in the storm, rain in your eyes, thunder in your skull, and saying, not yet, not like this, I choose how this ends. You don't tame emotion by erasing it. You tame it by staring it in the face and deciding you don't get the wheel. Let the fear scream, let the rage boil. But you sit like a mountain, unmoved, because reacting is easy. Any fool can flinch. But to hold the line when everything inside you begs for chaos, that's godlike, that's stoic. And when you master this, you stop being someone the world can provoke. You become a force the world respects, because nothing rattles the man who's burned in silence and come out steel. Number 2, don't absorb, observe. There are people out there who don't want peace. They want a reaction. People who carry unresolved chaos like a weapon, and every time they open their mouth, it's like shrapnel flying in every direction. Their words are wired with venom. Their tone is a test. Their goal isn't connection, it's control. And if you're not awake, if your guard is down even for a second, they'll throw their storm onto you like a coat soaked in gasoline and dare you to catch fire. You'll take in their rage, their trauma, their panic, and without even realizing it, you'll start walking around with wounds that were never yours to begin with. But the Stoic doesn't play that game. The Stoic doesn't drink poison just to understand the pain. The Stoic watches, secretary studies, without flinching, without folding, without letting it enter the bloodstream. Don't absorb, observe. There is nothing noble about bleeding from cuts someone else handed you just to feel seen. When Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy," he wasn't just speaking about actions. He was revealing an entire state of being. You don't mirror madness to show strength. You stay still, composed. You rise above the noise, not to appear superior, but because drowning in someone else's emotional sewage doesn't heal either of you. They're looking for reaction. They're starving for it. That's how they survive. But when you give them stillness, when you don't break, don't shout, don't match their poison with yours, you starve their need to control you. You want power? Be the mirror that reflects their storm, but never stores it. A mirror doesn't beg for peace. It doesn't tremble. It doesn't absorb a single drop. It sees it all and stays untouched. You become untouchable when you realize not every insult needs a defense. Not every accusation needs a rebuttal. Sometimes silence is a blade sharper than any comeback. And standing there, calm, grounded, eyes steady while someone else drowns in their own fury, that's not weakness. That's warfare without blood. And when they scream that you've changed, good. Let them. Let them call you cold, distant, emotionless. They don't see the nights you spent unraveling your triggers. They don't feel the war you fought just to keep your voice steady. They don't know the fire you walked through just to build that silence. Because it takes more strength to say nothing than it ever did to raise your voice. You're not here to absorb the weight of broken people. You're here to hold your peace like a blade to the world's throat. Number 3. Detach from the outcome. Master the process. Everyone's chasing control like it's the key to peace. They want to script every ending, manage every reaction, force life to obey. But life doesn't follow scripts. It laughs at your plans. It breaks your rhythm just to see if you can keep dancing. And most people, they fall apart. Not because the outcome was tragic, but because they were attached to how it was supposed to go. That attachment, that toxic expectation, is the rope around your neck, tightening every time reality refuses to obey your fantasy. You say the right words and still get misunderstood. You show loyalty and still get left. You pour your soul into something and it slips through your fingers like dust. And then you question your worth. You replay everything. You bleed yourself dry, trying to find a reason why it all crumbled. But that ache inside you, it's not failure. It's the death grip you had on an outcome that was never yours to own. Marcus Aurelius nailed it to the wall of human experience when he said, "Just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter." Let that carve into your chest. The rest doesn't matter. Not the applause, not the recognition, not the ending. Because your power doesn't live in the result. It lives in the ritual, in the unseen grind, in the discipline you show when no one's clapping, in the focus you summon when nothing is going your way, and you keep going anyway. You think the Stoic doesn't feel disappointment. They do, but they don't bow to it. They don't let their peace be dictated by what's beyond their reach. They train their mind to master the process, not possess the prize. Because that prize? It's a ghost. And ghosts don't bring peace. They haunt. Detach, not with bitterness, but with brutal grace. Train like you're going to war, even if peace lasts a lifetime. Love like you could lose them tomorrow, but never lose yourself in the process. Build like the world is watching, even if no one claps when you're done. That's power. That's freedom. That's control without chains. So when the ending comes and it doesn't go your way, don't flinch. Don't beg. Don't crumble. Walk away with your spine straight, your heart intact, and your process polished like a sword. Because you didn't come here to control life. You came here to command yourself. And that is the only outcome that ever mattered. Number 4. Never speak from an unhealed wound. Rage doesn't knock, it kicks down the door. It doesn't whisper, it roars. It floods your chest like wildfire, climbs your throat like smoke, and begs to be released as words sharp enough to cut bone. You feel it when someone disrespects you, betrays you, drags your name through dirt while smiling to your face. And your instinct? Strike back, burn everything, leave ashes where they stood. But that's not power. That's a wound holding the microphone. You think you're defending yourself, but you're bleeding all over your legacy. You think you're speaking truth, but it's your pain that's speaking first, loud, wild, and reckless. And once it's out, it doesn't return. Words are weapons with no safety switch. The ones thrown in pain don't just land, they echo. They dig graves in your relationships, your self-respect, your peace. They come back at night, replaying when you close your eyes. Not because what you said was wrong, but because it wasn't healed when it left your mouth. Pain doesn't make you honest, it makes you dangerous. Marcus Aurelius saw that long before the modern world forgot it. He warned, "Turn to yourself. Don't point, don't scream, don't collapse into your fury. Dig into your own scars. Face the bleeding truth inside. Not every feeling deserves a voice. Not every wound needs a stage. Some emotions are wild animals. They must be tamed before they're unleashed. You feel your fists clench, your jaw tightens, your heart races. That's not the moment to speak. That's the moment to pause. Because speaking in pain is like steering a ship during an earthquake. You're not guiding the wheel, you're just shaking with it. And where it crashes, that's on you. Let silence be your shield, not your weakness. Let it breathe through you until the fire cools, until the smoke clears, until your words are no longer daggers, but mirrors. You're not here to throw pain like grenades. You're here to break cycles. You're here to transform. Your real power shows when you could destroy someone with your truth, but choose instead to rebuild yourself with it. That's not silence. That's thunder held in discipline. That's the storm refusing to drown its creator. And when you finally speak, it's not just you speaking. It's every scar that chose to rise instead of rot. Number 5. Return to the present moment. It's the only place peace lives. Anxiety doesn't knock. It hijacks. It grabs your thoughts by the throat and throws them into futures that haven't even happened. You start living in the wreckage of days that don't exist yet. Conversations that never happened. Endings you invented just to feel in control of chaos. And regret. That's another beast. It drags you backward, dragging your peace through the mud of yesterday's mistakes. It whispers, "You should have done this. You should have said that." It holds you hostage in a time machine that only travels to guilt and pain. But peace doesn't live in memory. It doesn't wait for you in what-ifs. Peace is a ghost that only becomes real in one place, the present. Right now, this breath, this heartbeat, this exact second that's slipping through your fingers as you chase illusions of control. Marcus Aurelius didn't write poetry. He carved truth. Confine yourself to the present. That's not a soft suggestion. It's a call to war. Because the real battle isn't out there. It's inside. Your mind is the battlefield. Your thoughts are the army. And every time you abandon this moment, you surrender without even knowing it. Your brain wants to escape. It wants to analyze, predict, rewrite, control. But control is a lie wrapped in panic. You're not here to control time. You're here to own your awareness. Because right now, you're alive. You're breathing. And despite the storm in your chest, your feet are still on the ground. That's not small. That's your anchor. That's the one place life can't touch unless you leave it. Close your eyes and feel this moment. Inhale like you're dragging yourself back from war. Hold like you're reclaiming your sanity. Exhale like you're releasing everything that was never yours to carry. Again and again. That's not just breathing, that's rebellion. When your mind spirals, slam it back into the now. When your chest tightens and your hands shake, fight to stay, because the present is your sanctuary. It's not loud, it doesn't beg, it just waits, calmly, powerfully, silently. It's the eye of your storm, the place the chaos can't touch unless you let it. You don't need to conquer tomorrow. You don't need to resurrect yesterday. You just need to show up, fully, fiercely. Now, because when you master this moment, you don't just find peace, you become it. Number 6. Choose your response, not your emotion. Emotions don't knock. They crash through your ribcage like a riot. You feel it, you know it, that volcanic rage bubbling under your skin, clawing at your throat, demanding to be unleashed. One disrespect, one betrayal, one smug face in the wrong moment, and your heart pounds like war drums. Your mind becomes a burning theater, and every thought screams, react. Now loud, violent, let them feel it. But here's the trap. That first impulse, that's not power, that's possession. That's your peace getting hijacked by a ghost in your bloodstream. You weren't born to be emotionally handcuffed by every provocation. You weren't put here to be yanked like a puppet by whatever feeling screams the loudest. And yet, how many times have you exploded, only to be left with the silence of regret echoing louder than the anger ever did? How many times have you handed someone your calm like it was spare change, just because they pushed the right wound? Marcus Aurelius didn't whisper wisdom. He carved it into time. You have power over your mind, not outside events. And that right there, that is the blade. That is the line between the wild and the wise, between the man who is triggered by chaos and the man who becomes its silence. You don't choose the storm. You choose whether you drown in it or walk through it untouched. When rage sinks its teeth into you, don't flinch, don't speak, don't fire. Stand still. Let it crawl through you. Let it gnaw your bones. And then don't move, because the second you delay your eruption, you begin to master it. The moment you breathe when every nerve says strike, you crown yourself king of the war inside. That pause, that's divine. That's ancient. That's the line where boys become warriors and pain becomes power. You are not your fury. You are not the static noise inside your chest. You are the watcher behind the curtain, the ghost behind the rage, the hand on the dial. You get to decide when to move, when to speak, when to destroy, and when to walk away smiling like you burned the battlefield by staying calm. So next time chaos licks your ears, next time the devil taps your shoulder, don't dance. Freeze. Make stillness louder than the noise. Make silence more terrifying than your scream. Because the man who chooses his response when he could have chosen war, he doesn't just survive the battle. He becomes the storm that never needed to shout. Number 7. Stop expecting peace from chaos. You're out here begging a hurricane to hold you gently, trying to sip stillness from a cup of gasoline, walking barefoot through fires lit by the same people you pray will cool you down, and then you wonder why your heart keeps blistering. You're searching for peace in hands that only know how to ruin, laying your soul down in the middle of a war zone and hoping someone spares you from the crossfire. But chaos doesn't comfort, it consumes. And the longer you dance in that noise, the more you forget what silence ever felt like. You stay, not because it's peaceful, but because a part of you still believes the storm might settle, that maybe, just maybe, the thunder will apologize, that lightning will learn how to hold back. But you're lying to yourself. They aren't confused, they're comfortable in the chaos. And every time you bend, every time you bite your tongue, every time you water their poison, hoping it'll bloom, you become another architect of your own downfall. Marcus Aurelius wasn't just writing history when he said, "Tranquility comes when you stop caring what they say, think, or do, only what you do." He was handing you the sword. Because you're not trapped, you're tolerating. Stop expecting the reckless to be gentle. Stop expecting the unstable to build foundations. Stop expecting the loud to hear you, the broken to hold you, the emotionally bankrupt to fund your healing. Their chaos isn't your storm to solve. It's a mirror you need to turn away from. Because every second you spend trying to pull calm out of them, you lose another piece of your own. You want peace? Burn the bridge that leads back to madness. Let them scream into their own echoes. Let them drown in their noise. Walk away. Not with hate, but with holy indifference, with fire in your lungs and silence in your stride. Cut the cords, not because you hate them, but because you finally love yourself enough to choose sanity over shared suffering. The clean mind needs a clean environment. And if that means deleting numbers, leaving rooms, blocking the noise, disappearing into solitude, then so be it. Solitude doesn't sting when it's saving your soul. Peace doesn't need an audience. It needs distance. It needs discipline. And sometimes it needs you to walk away like a ghost that refuses to haunt its own grave again. Because the day you stop expecting peace from chaos is the day you finally stop bleeding in places that were never meant to heal you. Number 8. Pain is a teacher. Don't flinch. Pain never tiptoes. It crashes like a storm ripping through your bones. It doesn't ask permission. It storms in uninvited, tearing open every weak spot you thought was hidden. Loss slams you down. Betrayal cuts you deeper than knives. Failure burns through your pride like acid. You sit in that wreckage, bleeding in silence, choking on the question, "Why me?" Wondering if your lungs will ever remember how to draw air without it feeling like a fist squeezing your throat. But here's the brutal truth. Stoicism never promised to shield you from pain. It offered something far more savage, a sword forged in the fire of your suffering. Marcus Aurelius didn't whisper comfort. He handed you the weapon to reclaim your mind. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke. Feel that? The power isn't in avoiding the storm, it's in owning the thunder. Pain isn't your enemy, it's the battle cry, the fire that burns away your excuses, your weakness, your illusions. Your resistance, your flinching, is the real prison. Every scar etched into your flesh is a chapter of your soul's hardest lessons. The heartbreak? It taught you what love really costs. The failure? It cracked open the door to discipline you never knew you had. The betrayal? It sharpened your vision, stripped away the lies you told yourself. But none of that wisdom finds you when you run or resist. It arrives only when you stare pain down, unblinking. The mind that stays calm through agony isn't untouchable, it's battle-hardened. It has marched through hellfires and didn't just survive, it learned to wield the flames, to turn every wound into a weapon. The next time pain lands like a freight train, don't close your eyes, don't flinch. Sit in that inferno. Let it speak. Ask, why are you here? What truth are you carrying? What must burn to ash so I can rise stronger? That's the language of warriors. That's the roar of Stoics. Pain is the fiercest, most unforgiving teacher, but its lessons carve immortality into your soul. Don't drown it in numbness. Don't sprint away chasing hollow distractions. Don't bury it beneath shame and silence. Let pain sculpt you like a brutal sculptor, stripping away every last ounce of weakness until only raw, unbreakable power remains. Because the calmest force in the room, it's never the one who escaped pain. It's the one who stared it down, embraced it, and twisted it into an unshakable throne of strength. Number 9. Don't internalize the storms of others. Storms don't always come wrapped in warning signs. Sometimes they arrive masked as someone's shifting mood, their biting silence, or sudden explosions of anger that feel like a slap to your soul. They don't ask permission before tearing through the calm you fought so hard to build. And what do? You catch it. You carry their chaos like a burden that wasn't meant for you, as if their darkness is yours to own, to fix, to bear. But here's the raw truth: none of it belongs to you. Marcus Aurelius laid it bare. Someone despises me. That's their problem. Mine. Not to do or say anything despicable. Feel the weight of that. Not your war to fight. Not your poison to swallow. Not your fire to burn. The power lies in refusing to let someone else's venom seep through your veins and corrode your spirit. You are not some ragged sponge soaked in other people's storms. You are a fortress, a shield forged in the fires of your own battles. Their angry words, they don't define your soul. Their rejection, it never held your true worth. Their chaos, it's a reflection of their own shattered skies, not your clear blue. You don't owe explanations to those who have made misunderstanding their religion. You don't have to match their fury with your own. You don't have to shrink, fade, or disappear just so their egos can grow. When the arrows of their pain come flying, don't invite them inside. Don't drag their storms into your sanctuary. Watch their rage, their bitterness, their madness like clouds racing across the endless sky. You are the sky itself, vast, unbreakable, untouched. The storm is loud, furious, destructive, but it passes. It never owns the space you hold within. Guard your peace with a fierceness that scares the chaos away. Your mind's clarity, your emotional backbone, your inner fortress, they're all sacred. They can be hijacked if you forget this essential truth. Other people's madness, their fury, their venom, reflect only their own fractures, not yours. You can stand still when they crumble. You can be silent when they scream. You can rise into the calm while they drown in their own tempest. Because every storm has a border, your border, and on your side, there is only stillness, strength, and unbreakable peace. Number 10. Calm isn't lack of feeling, it's the height of strength. They'll call you cold, frozen stone, a ghost drifting through life's inferno untouched. Let them say what they want, because calm isn't some soft lullaby. Calm is a volcanic core locked in steel. It's the scream swallowed before it tears the sky apart. Calm is the savage rebellion against a world screaming for chaos. Your stillness is not a weakness. It's a war cry heard only by those who refuse to break. Marcus Aurelius didn't just write words. He hurled lightning bolts into the dark. If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. Feel that weight crushing your chest? That's pain knocking. But whether it rips you open or bounces off depends on the fortress your soul has forged. Pain is inevitable. Submission is optional. You're allowed to drown, to fracture, to bleed raw and wild in silence where no one dares to look. You're allowed to let the venom burn through your veins and scream inside the abyss. But when the world demands action, your calm becomes a blade sharper than fury, colder than hate. Not absence of feeling, an eruption of control. You command the tempest inside. The chaos roars. You whisper, and it obeys. Love with the hunger of 1,000 suns blazing across your veins. But when respect crumbles into ash, walk away like a king shedding a tattered crown. Rage can set your blood ablaze like wildfire, racing through dry brush. Choose silence that's thicker than smoke, heavier than death. Fear may freeze your bones, suffocate your breath, but you move forward. One brutal, beautiful step at a time. That's not weakness. That's the essence of raw, unfiltered power. The world thinks chaos is strength, noise means dominance, shouting is command. Bullshit. Real power is the quiet before the storm, the stillness that shatters mountains. Calm minds cut sharper, last longer, bleed less. Calm is a weapon forged in fire and silence, an edge so lethal it slices through the clamor of the weak. Build your calm like a fortress soaked in blood and sweat. Train it like a gladiator wielding unseen weapons. Protect it like it's the last flame in a frozen wasteland. Because in this fractured world exploding with madness, panic and noise, calm is your rebellion, your crown, your undying sword. You were never meant to be numb. You were born to be unbreakable. Your mind is no mere place. It's a fortress, a kingdom forged in the fires of every battle you've survived. Every moment you choose to respond instead of react, you're sharpening a blade so deadly it slices through chaos like a hot knife through darkness. This blade isn't just steel, it's your last line of defense, your war cry, your sacred armor that guards the fragile peace you refuse to surrender. The world doesn't care about your comfort. It will hurl storms that rip apart souls and test the very bones beneath your skin. But you were never put here to plead for gentler winds or softer battles. You were carved to build a stillness so unbreakable it drowns out every scream, every doubt, every chain forged by fear. So don't just take these Stoic truths as words. Burn them into your blood. Let them become the steel in your spine, the fire in your eyes, the unyielding force in your heart. Live them like your life depends on it, because it does. Breathe them deep, like the last breath before war. Become the calm hurricane, the quiet storm that nothing and no one can control. The man who stands calm amid chaos isn't a victim. He's a ruler, a force the world trembles to face. This isn't just strength, it's dominion. It's power forged in silence, victory born in patience, and peace wielded like a weapon. If this message tore through your soul, don't keep it caged. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let this fire spread. Let your voice shake the silence. Your journey doesn't start tomorrow. It starts now. Don't just watch this. Live it. Breathe it. Become the unstoppable force you were meant to be.